Well, Zainab, just as you are having that conversation about the Generation Z and their desire to be faithful to God Almighty or not, it's quite interesting that you mentioned that because the youth of this country have been part and parcel of a conversation going on under the last 24 hours where the number of voters, the total number of voters that participated in the election 2022 has come under scrutiny and question. And Wafula Chebukati now raising that number from 56.7 last evening to about 65.4% of those BVRN KIMS kits that were functioning. But he says this number is likely to go up because there are some places in this country where the manual register was the critical point of identifying those voters, especially in some constituencies in Kakamega County. Those figures, according to the IEBC, are just about 14,164,561 voters who were identified using the KIMS kits, and those were some of the 46,000 that were placed across the 46,000 polling stations across these 290 constituencies in the country. Again, IEBC saying that the fact that 200 of those kits were not able to function is not something that should create sort of an aura of concern by many stakeholders in the political sphere. But the all-important question many Kenyans have been asking is, when will Wafula Chebukati make that big announcement? According to him, not today, not anytime soon in the next few hours, because the Form 34 are expected, the Form 34As and B are expected here in Nairobi from the various counties, and the process of counting and tallying at the constituency and at the county level is quite slow and grueling, and that is why he insists that he has a 7-day window up until late evening Monday next week, just legally within the precincts of what the Constitution gives and guides him through to be able to make that critical announcement. But he says once those forms come in through, you have tables across the various floors of this amphitheater where IEBC officials are receiving the scanned and photographed Form 34As and 34Bs, where they will be doing the verification of the information or the data from one form to the other, just to clarify that the details of those forms tally and the numbers that are coming from the polling station are indeed what has been presented before you. So in terms of the national tally here of the presidential vote, it will not start streaming in because once everything is set, we are seeing the screens of receiving the Form 34A are at 98.56%. Once all those forms are coming into the form, I know that in Eldas constituency, which they were voting earlier today, polls have already closed, and thus counting will begin and join the rest of the country in ideally making known who will be their MCA, who will be their woman rep, who will be their member of National Assembly, their senator, their governor, and indeed who will take over from Uhuru Kenyatta as President number 5 of the Republic of Kenya. So nothing much happening now, but Wafula Chebukati in the last hour and a half or so coming to speak to the media, and it is a battery of journalists, not only from here in Kenya, but from the region and international spheres as well. We also see that international diplomats and observers are within this hall, and once they make an announcement that another briefing will be here, the hall usually tends to fill up with a whole lot of individuals who are really looking into how the Kenyans are making this decision 2022 for them and who they will be making those choices for. So Zainab, at the moment, those are the figures that we have at the moment. Kenyans may not be in a position to know exactly as at closing of polling stations for the last constituency, which is Eldas, this evening, how many will have voted in this 2022 election and that percentage until they do the tally, and also checking through the manual register. Wafula Chebukati also insisting and going through the paces of tallying process from the constituency level, that is the polling stations, where they will be making announcements for the MCA position and the member of National Assembly. And he is insisting that he has 7 days, and he kept on answering questions from the media, and as many are wondering, when will he make that big announcement? This big announcement for today, Wednesday, he insists is in not coming. However, we've seen various key players. Waihiga Mwaure of the Agano Party was within the precincts of Bomas of Kenya. He was received by members of the IEBC, and he had a chat with them, just as the members of the IGAD observer team were here. He spoke with Wafula Chebukati and his team of commissioners just to get a feeling of what is going on here at the Bomas of Kenya. But Zainab, as much as many are looking into this Uchaguzi Center for critical announcements, it all depends on how the county level is doing their tallying and how fast their returning officers will come here with those Form 34As and Form 34Bs for the members of the IEBC who are seated down here at the Bomas of Kenya to do the verification, and then for Wafula Chebukati to announce. And he insists that once that process begins, maybe later this evening, he will be giving critical announcement as soon as possible. But for the moment, it is painfully worrying for us as journalists, because the span between one announcement and the other takes several hours, and for quite some time, many of us left in the dark just to wonder what next and what to give as information to the public. But he insists that you can access Form 34A series. Go to https://forms.iebc.or.ke and verify those documents yourself, and not wait for someone else to tell you this and this is happening at the constituency and the county tallying center levels. Zainab.
Leila Mohammed, she is at the National Tallying Center. Of course, we'll continue getting those briefings there as we take a look at what Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairperson, will be telling us. So, but Olive Barrows will be joining me in just a moment to give us a sense of what the Constitution talks about when it comes to the declaration of results. The chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, also just mentioned